Hello, my dear church boys, and welcome back to St. Robert's Day Game podcast. And in this podcast episode, I'm chatting with Mr. D, a fellow Latvian. Although he has never actually day gamed in Latvian, and he got his Latvian flag in London. He learned day game in London by getting coaching from one of day game, let's call him grandfathers. And afterwards, he traveled to several cities in Europe like Lisbon and Barcelona. But we met in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, much earlier this year, in the beginning of this year, when he recognized me on a street. He has spent all this time since we met living and day gaming in different places in Central and South America. If you live in a place where you don't really like the girls and maybe winter sucks and maybe you don't really like the city there, then I always thought, why not travel more? Well, maybe you can't travel for a year non-stop like me and some of my friends, but many of you guys can take vacations. Maybe some of you can work remotely. You can agree on some remote work arrangement, or maybe you run your own business and you can do it from many different places. So why not do it? I don't understand why people day game in cities they don't like if there are so many amazing places. If you can't take more than a week off, then in this podcast you'll hear about how you can learn to improve your day game. But if you can, who knows, maybe it will inspire you to book your next flight. And a few updates about where I am, what's going on, what's happening with coaching in Europe. So I'm still in Ukraine, and in the early October I'm leaving to Spain, and then a few weeks or a month later I am leaving Europe until the next spring. So I have two more coaching spots left in Europe this year before I leave. So if you are interested in getting some day game coaching before I leave Europe, and send me an email to robert@strobert.blog. It is robert@strobert.blog. And I'll send you all the information, places, prices, dates, and both of the coaching spots will be available until September 20th. So that's around 10 days from now, or until they're both booked, because around mid to late September I'll start really looking into where I'm going in Central America. It's gonna be in Mexico, but I don't know exactly where. So I will start looking into it. I'll start booking my flights. So I need to know when and who I am coaching. And so now let's get into the interview with Mr. D. So hello, here we are with well, what's your day game name? Are you out with your name, or do you have like a pseudonym, or how the fuck do we call you?
Definitely no names.
No
Okay,
names.
call me Mr. D.
Mr. DD, Big D.
Give the D.
So the reason I wanted to do this interview or this chat rather is you are a self-made day gamer, right?
Yeah, I've been
You've
for
never
few
had
years.
coaching or any of that shit.
Actually, I
Right.
have had coaching.
You
Um,
have had who coached you?
I don't reveal the name, but he was someone who is well, like a day game granddaddy or something.
Daygame Granddaddy. That sounds like Yad probably or Tom. Yad or Tom. Okay. Uh, both of which are interesting when it comes to coaching, at least from what I've heard from people who have worked with them. Especially Tom. Maybe Yad has his kind of his way of coaching, which some people really like and some don't. And you're a fellow day gamer originally from Latvia, which
Yep,
is
correct.
there is someone else who's getting laid from Latvia apart from me and Batman. Someone who I as a grandfather of working day game, functional day game that actually gets people laid in Latvia, because there were day gamers in Latvia when I started, but they were all, let's just call them non-effective, really weird guys who
Mm.
probably, yeah, I don't know whether you met them or whether you've day gamed in Latvia. So how long ago did you actually start day gaming?
So I never day game in Latvia. That was That was only started like 3 years ago in UK.
Okay, London or somewhere else?
And initially not London. It was a smaller UK city. And then after a couple of months, I realized, okay, if I need to take this seriously, I need to move to London. So that's what I did.
Yeah, that is a thing that many day gamers have done. They are kind of playing around with day game, but once they realize that they're serious about it, they move to a city that's actually good for day game. Because yes, you can. Like a lot of guys ask, "Hey, I live in this town with 250,000 people. Can I day game here?" Yes, you can. Will it be a great day game city where you will day game for years? No, it will not. It
Mm.
took me around 1.5 to 2 years to, let's call it, I don't know, daygame all of Latvia. Because now when I go
All the
back,
cities, all the little
no,
towns as well.
I mean, like Riga. Like right now, I just reopened way too often, and unless I'm opening, the fresh meat who has just arrived in the city after graduating from some small high school in a small town. It's just reopening. So,
Mm.
have you day gamed in Latvia at all? Maybe when visiting, or not?
I always had this limiting belief that I just cannot game in Latvian,
Of
Latvian
course.
language.
Yeah,
Uh,
because it's different. The game is different in Latvian. It doesn't work.
and it kind of changed when I finally got my first Latvian lei, but I was in London. And I was initially it was really weird to have the date in Latvian. Like I had to translate all the stuff in my head. But at the end of the day, it's kind of the same thing, really.
Of course it is. I've day gamed in English, Latvian, Russian, a bit of Spanish, and it's the same in every fucking language. So you started 3 years ago. Uh, how long until the first lay?
So I got the coaching in April, and I think I got the first lay in June. It was a Chinese girl, which I don't do these days anymore,
Oh,
and
they're
she
hot. I
also
I like them, but okay.
was a virgin, so a double
Hmm.
whammy.
Hmm. So lovely, a Chinese virgin. So it took you a few months from coaching to getting lay. What was the progression like? What did you have to learn on your own after coaching to get the lay?
Wow. Just approach. Fight the approach anxiety. That was a big thing back then. Um, yeah, work on the model, obviously. Try to kind of internalize it to a point where you don't need to think about it. With the open stack, teasing, comfort. Um, yeah.
So basically, you had to still work on AI, polish the model a little bit more, and that was all you needed. And then you started getting laid. Uh, was it smooth sailing after the first lay, or oh, let's start kind of, we saw the beginning, we saw how you started. Let's talk about where you are right now. So that was 3 years ago. How many day game plays do you have now?
Oh yeah. So I took out my spreadsheet last night to check it. Uh, I have a bit more than 40 day game lays now.
Hmm.
And
And what's the open delay ratio, if you checked out that, or over how many opens is that?
wow, well, I'm not, to be honest, I'm not the big stats guy, so I would not know. Um,
Okay.
well, I look at more like how many lays do I get per month. Uh, so yeah, right now I'm not in UK. I'm in South America, and yeah, if I'm having a good time, I would have maybe one lay a week. Whereas back when I started, yeah, I was aiming for one lay a month, and that was kind of sometimes it happened, sometimes it didn't happen.
Okay. So right now if it's a good month, you're getting one lay a week. If it's a shitty month,
Yeah, so right now I'm here in Colombia, and initially I was in Medellin, which is one of the big cities here, famous for hot chicks. And I was struggling there a little bit, so I was getting, yeah, one lay a month. Whereas now I'm traveling a bit more to other cities, and now I'm back to like this one lay a week thing.
okay. Are you daygaming in Spanish or English?
Oh yeah, I'm doing all in Spanish
So how good
because
is your Spanish?
it's okay. I can have, I can do all the approach, I can do all the dates, and it's also kind of my goal to learn Spanish. So it's actually great for learning the language. Like, you know, imagine having like 4 hour immersion in language. And, well, maybe
For the
even more.
price of a beer.
Yeah, and also it's all emotionally relevant, so you remember it a lot more than like a lecture.
Of course, of course, of course. So did you take any formal language, like classes or some Pimsleur courses on Duolingo or anything else?
Well, I think Duolingo is shit. I
Yeah, I
think
agree with that.
you need to have a conversation. So in regarding to Spanish, um, took me, yeah, I was learning quite a lot. I was learning quite hardcore, like 2 hours every day. And in 2 months, 2 months and a half, that was the point where I think that's when I had my first full Spanish date. Of course, it wasn't like super smooth, but we could proceed to a happy ending. So yeah, I took courses initially, of course. Now I don't have courses anymore because I feel I don't need it.
Okay. So you started where you started 3 years ago. Now you are at this spot. So what else did you have to learn? What were the main things you had to learn from getting your first lay, maybe to getting to a one lay a month on a regular basis? Maybe you remember like one or two main things that you had to pay attention to.
Wow, so long time ago. Um, so yeah, when I was talking about coaching initially, which I initially had, the coach, his style was kind of, and personality was kind of almost an opposite of mine. So in the sense that he's um, a social butterfly, like a guy who could make friends everywhere. Whereas for me, I'm like, oh, why do I need to socialize? Um, I mean, you don't really, okay, it's not that important to be like that kind of guy in day game, but it definitely helps. So I had to learn a bit, had to learn a bit more about that. And yeah, I remember also thinking to myself, just need to be more normal, like in the dates, in the approaches. Um, stop, stop like doing the attraction material so much. Because it's for me, it's like a drug, you know. You say something, and then the girl giggles and like just continue and like oh. So yeah, big. I remember a big lesson for me was yeah, just you know, be a normal dude with some seduction basics, and then you're gonna do great.
Yeah, because in the beginning, when guys learn day game and they learn attraction and they start seeing that, oh my God, she giggles at this, she giggles at that, she likes me. Oh my God, they become master attractors or whatever you
Hmm.
call that.
Yeah.
They become great at teasing and spiking and all of that stuff, and it does get you laid. I remember when Batman was learning, I once listened to his set, and he was his teasing was hardcore. He was an attraction monkey, but he was still getting 1 lay out of 60 opens, and then he kind of started to polish
Wow.
that. Even with that, and yeah, the next phase is actually becoming a normal dude, not just a crazy jumping monkey who does teases and spikes, which might work in Canada English-speaking places, or even it might work in Latvia. It will work in most of Europe. It will even maybe work in the States. But you try to do that shit in Ukraine, you can go home unfat because you're not getting laid. That's one thing that's kind of interesting when you travel. You just get to see so many different cultures and how they react to games. So you've day gamed in UK. We met each other on the street in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and then you went to Medellin. Where else have you day gamed? And let's talk countries. Maybe let's not talk. And if we talk cities, maybe let's talk main cities. If you are discovering hidden gems, maybe let's not put them on a map. I would suggest. I would kind of prefer not to put nice, lovely towns on a map, especially beach towns. If you maybe know what particular city I'm talking about, then please don't name it. But maybe like countries that you get gamed in.
So my first day game trip, I think I had 7 days there, was to Lisbon in Portugal. So yeah, well, I got one lay there with a nice Brazilian chick. It was, I think it's as a day game city, it's a good one. It has these shopping streets. The weather is great. You know, you have the beach nearby there. So I went to Lisbon, and then the next day game trip, well, that was like 3 years ago. The next day game trip 2 years ago was to Barcelona. I spent there 10 days, and I think again I got one lay. But for me, Barcelona was struggle. I don't know why.
What was different? What was the difference between Lisbon and Barcelona? Because they seem like they could be similar cities. They both are southern Europe. They both are warm, but they both are kind of businessy and busy. So, what was the difference for you in between Barcelona and Lisbon?
Yeah, I felt that Lisbon was a bit more chill. Whereas in Barcelona, people like girls were walking really fast. Yes, it's also Barcelona's more touristy.
Which is kind of like a good thing, isn't it? In Barcelona.
Yeah, I guess so. So, for example, in Barcelona, there's there's few day game areas, like Las Ramblas, which is famous for basically similar to Playa del Carmen, where like people, all the vendors, they're like bugging you and like trying to sell you something. So if you, for example, if you're gaming there, you need to be really distinctive, you know, approach really strong, where the girl doesn't think, oh yeah, you're just trying to sell me something.
I kind of like those places. That's why I like Playa, because if it was full of day gamers, but you know, most day gamers, they stop girls so bad, it's just like they're not gonna stop with your shit stop on a busy street. Whereas on Fifth Avenue in Playa, you could do a strong front stop and they would just stop, and they know you're not a street vendor. So I kind of like that. Okay, so that's Las Ramblas, which is known for street vendors. What else is there in Barcelona?
So apart from that, there is also the main shopping street. Yeah, there's always a good flow there. It's good for approaching. I don't know. I guess at that time I just sucked in day game.
Well, that was one of your first day game trips, so I mean that's forgivable. I think
like day 7, I still haven't got laid. Like my feet are sore from walking. I'm like fucking frustrated. Don't want to do day game anymore. But yeah, then I got lucky. I got this girl, this weed head, um, kind of crazy girl, and I stopped her, and then I got the same day lay.
Boom. Sounds very lovely. I like how people, when they go on their first day game trips, they're like, "Oh, it's 4 days and I haven't been late. It's 1 week and I haven't been late." And the more I travel and the more content I do, the more kind of people want to join somewhere. Maybe guys that I've coached in the past, they want to join somewhere just for a trip, but they want to go for places where everyone wants to go. There's like, "Hey, let's go to Rio. Hey, let's go to this place. Let's go to that place." I'm like, why would I go there? If I go there, I will go with my students, and many people will sign up for to any popular city. Many people will sign up and go there. I would say I go to Rio, people will sign up, or Playa del Carmen, or Prague, or London. People will sign up to any of those cities. Whereas if I'm saying, hey, I'm going to Argentina, not to Buenos Aires, but to this beach town, no one's coming. Or let's say I would go to Ukraine, to the city where I'm in Ukraine, and people just wouldn't sign. I mean, students would still sign up, but people who are day gamers, they very often wouldn't come, and it's kind of weird. And when people go on trips and they say, and why for me, why I don't go with any day gamers to cities that are the main day game cities, because everyone knows about those cities. Those cities kind of, they have been cracked. Everyone knows what works there, or it's easy to find out what works there. But when I go to a small city in Ukraine, well, my job is to figure out what works. And Mr. T is the guy who deserves a fucking shout out, because he's the guy who's like, yeah, fuck it, let's go. Let's go anywhere. Let's try to crack that place. And we go to places and we're not getting laid for 2 fucking weeks because we don't understand how the game works there. And then we keep struggling, we keep figuring it out, and then we're like, okay, we get this figured out, and we're getting and then you like start getting laid left and right, and then or like you at least start getting laid. Well, in place in terms, like, for example, Ukraine, for the first 2 weeks we weren't getting laid, and now I'm like, my stats are way better than one layout of 30 opens.
Yeah, it's true that these second tier cities where you are kind of the exotic guy there, for me, they're like cheat codes. Like,
while you still have to crack them sometimes, depending on the
yeah,
country. Depending on the country, you're gonna gotta find out what works there. So I actually think not getting laid for a week in Barcelona is nothing to be kind of worried about. People have these expectations that I'm gonna go wherever I want to go and I'm just gonna get laid. Well, you're probably not. So Barcelona, where else have you day gamed?
so UK, those two countries, and yeah, so this year, as you mentioned, I went to Mexico, to Playa del Carmen, a great city for learning day game, amazing, I think. And then I went to a different city in Mexico, which is more of like a proper city. And as I mentioned, yeah, that was great for me because I'm the exotic guy. Nobody does day game there.
Yeah.
Feel like a kid in candy shop.
Yeah. And the effects you get being the only day gamer. And that is the reason why I never tell why I never tell people where I'm going, because like it's kind of like
Exactly.
fishing. The fun part of fishing, big part, is finding the good fishing spots, and I think it's the same with day game travel. So you tried Mexico. What else have you tried?
And then after that, I went to Colombia, to Medellin, where, yeah, as I said, I didn't get the good results. I'm still not sure why. And then right now I'm in like a smaller city, which is just a bit better, the day game
Okay,
wise.
nice. So let's talk crazy stories.
Yeah.
What comes to mind? What comes to mind when we're talking about crazy day game stories?
One story that everyone always tells me to tell is this time. Okay, I would call it the Tinder Steal. So that was in the beginning. I think it was my second lay in the small UK city. So there was this girl. She was definitely waiting for someone. She wasn't like overly hot or anything, but I remember at that time I was trying to practice um, with girls that are waiting for someone because I had this limiting belief that, oh yeah, her boyfriend's gonna show up any minute. He's gonna beat me up, or her friend's gonna show up. They're gonna hate me. So anyway, I approach her, and she hooks really well. And then she tells me that she's actually waiting for her Tinder date. So I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, okay, at least I'll get a number. And as we're talking, I see with the corner of my eye, there's a guy. He's like loitering around, like kind of walking around us, but not really talking to us, approaching us. And it's pretty clear to me that that's the date. That's the guy. So at this point, I'm like, there's this little devil inside me. I'm like, okay, what should I do? Okay, I need to get this girl off the street fast. So I'm like, okay, let's go for a drink now. And she was initially hesitant, but I don't remember what I did, but eventually we end up in the bar, and that bar is right next to where I met her. So basically, that guy's outside. He's like seeing two of us going inside the bar, and then when we order drinks, I'm like, okay, I need to do something about the situation. And I tell the girl, okay, text the guy that you're not feeling well, and you have to go home. That's what she did. And yeah, like 1.5 hour or 2 hours later, yeah, it was the same delay.
This is hilarious, dude.
And yeah, I kind of feel
You're a
bad
fun
about
guy.
that.
You're a fun guy. Like you're a fun guy. You're a legit fun guy. Like this guy, just like fuck it, let's steal a chick from a guy who's waiting for a Tinder date. I respect that a lot, man. Because like some of you guys would do that, and you did it for fun, like for shits and giggles, basically.
Yeah, so that just kind of illustrates the how shit Tinder is. I think so. What the girl told me later was that um, she used to be this conservative girl, and now she's morphing into this like she wants adventures. So basically, she went out to meet this guy, but really, it didn't matter who she bangs. Like that guy, me, another guy on the street, a guy in a bar, whatever. So that's funny.
Okay. Are there any other good stories like that?
Well, unfortunately, no other Tinder steals. I'm sorry. Um,
Uh, Anything else? Oh, I mean, anything crazy goes. I'm just kind of trying to get a feel and trying to find out. Maybe you have other fun stories that guys would enjoy.
um, yeah, like there was a time in London where I was really going for same day lays, and yeah, I had good success with that. Um, for example, many people they were like when the lockdown happened, they were like, okay, I cannot game anymore. There's everything's locked down. Whereas I was still gaming like almost every day. So, for example, in London, um, some shops were open, parks were open. Then I remember there were actually few girls who I approached in the park, and we talked for a little bit, and then we basically slowly walked to my apartment without like any bars. Okay, we sat down in the park, in between, like during the walk. But yeah, I would just walk them to my house and bang them there.
Yeah, that's the attitude, I think. That's the attitude. You're in the right environment with the right people. Uh, what are some of your biggest day game losses? The biggest failures? Maybe a chick you pursued for so hard and it
Hmm.
never went anywhere.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think I just delete most of my failures from my memory. For example, you probably cannot remember a girl you approached, 2 months ago, and she rejected you.
Unfortunately, I can remember some lays I did not get years ago because I've had stories and like massive fails, like a same day lay attempt fails and same day delay attempt fails, and like just everything fucking fails. And but that's me. That's me.
Hmm. Yeah. So another lesson that I remember I had to learn was patience in the bedroom, and because of that, I think I lost so many girls. Because it's like it's almost the end. You're like, yes, it's gonna happen. You're like, boom, 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 boom. But that's the point where you need to have the most patience. Um, so I would like bring a girl home and like escalate really fast, and um, she would just freak out and leave.
Yeah, this is something I want to ask you. So. In many parts of the world, escalation you go on off on off on off and it works, whereas in Ukraine, if the chick isn't going for it when you are at your place, you maybe try to kiss her twice, like maybe even second time is a bit too much, but if you try twice, it should not go for the third time. You should not be pushy. They really don't like pushy guys, and if they want to fuck you, they'll fuck you. But if they decided not, then being pushy, being kind of even calibrated pushy stuff that works anywhere else where I day game would not work and would actually get her to kind of never see you again. So how is this with Colombia? Do you have to do the
Mm,
on off and kind of keep pushing, keep going for it, or do you try and she's like nah nah nah, then you kind of chill out?
yeah, I just always go for the goal. Um, if I'm in the bedroom, and Colombian girls are like really feminine, um, like super emotional. So I found that, yeah, you can get to lay if you do some fractionation and escalate a little bit and like back off. I don't know. I feel like it really depends on the girl.
Okay. Have you experimented with threesomes and stuff like that? Because you've done a lot of day game, you've been in different places. Is that something you've explored or not yet?
Unfortunately, no. One of my biggest, yeah. So in the past, I also struggled to like, retain the girls, like see many of them again. So that didn't help me to set up threesomes or anything.
How about now? Are you keeping them now as regulars or are they mostly like one time things?
Yeah, like right now. So I feel like I had my lays. I proved the point to myself that I can be this player guy. So right now I'm looking for something more steady. Um, so yeah, I'm trying to retain girls more these
So
days.
actually, let's talk about this. What are you looking for now?
Uh, well, yeah, it sounds very very cringy, but kind of looking for a girlfriend or
Okay.
or a girl I could spend more time with.
I don't think there's anything cringy about that, and that's a whole different topic that I want to start covering. And we're probably doing YouTube live with Tusk next week on this topic
Nice.
because what I think. So when I think about life after game, or how all the butthurt guys who couldn't get laid, they now learn game, and they become these fuck boys, and they then become well-known day game coaches, and they start putting out content, and then they say, yeah, relationships can never work, all of that is shit, that will never work, the only way is our way, it's just to fuck everything that moves, fuck everyone else. Richard Dawkins is the king of the world. Well, yeah, Richard Dawkins explained a lot of shit, but at the same time, there are many people who have managed to make relationships work. So I think a lot of people in this industry have went from the one end of the, I don't know what's the expression in English. In Latvian, it's no viena gravia otrā. Kind of like from one extreme to another. From either not getting laid, they become fuckboys because they were like hating the world, then they became really good at seduction, and all they did was fuck chicks. Or they were hurt in relationships like I was, and then I kind of said, okay, let's jump into a day game, let's learn to seduce chicks and fuck everything that moves. But I don't think either of these extremes is optimal for me. I'm not looking for boring classical relationship where everything is shit, and I'm not also looking to fuck everything that moves for years. I'm not really interested in that anymore. And I'm personally looking right now for a chick I could travel with for a month. So I'm actually totally open to very different ideas. I'm reading books about it. I'm listening to podcasts about it, just as I was discovering how things could work in terms of by using day game. Right now, I'm learning about different models and different things that can happen, and where you can go after learning to kind of how game works and how to sleep with girls and how they function. So yeah, what are you looking for right now?
So right now I'm traveling. So I'm in one place for 1 month or a few weeks, and then in different place again. So having girlfriend not really realistic. But one thing I want to mention is about that is just that approaching girls is like addiction. You know, how do you so if you have a girl that you're seeing, how do you see that thing where you walk down the street and you just need to approach every girl you see because that's what you're used to doing, and you need to have this like emotions inside you that's it's so much fun and you can't stop doing. And I feel like a lot of day gamers, they the ones that are trying to quit it or trying to get in a relationship, they struggle with that.
Okay. So you're kind of battling this relationship versus approaching everything.
Yeah, it's really hard to see how if if I have a if I have one girl, how would I be able to like walk through a shopping mall with many hot chicks and like not get distracted and.
Well, how about a chick that's open for threesomes?
Yeah, that's an option. Yeah, open
No, because
relation.
it sounds your game is good enough to actually experiment doing things like that. I think
Yeah,
that's one thing. I mean, if you're interested in shit like that, that's definitely something I suggest experimenting with. You have the skills, so why not?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So what's on the table for you? What are the plans? You are in Colombia. The winter is coming, so I assume you're not rushing back to London or anywhere else in Europe.
yeah. I do need to go back for Christmas to see my family. Um, you know what I think? So in South America and Latin America, I've gotten better results than in London. But in many ways, I think my game has decreased because it just for me it's just easier here. I think
I can see it. Yeah.
if I go back to London now, I'll be like blown out all the time. Um, yeah, it's interesting.
But I totally agree with you there because after day gaming in Tulum and Playa del Carmen and in other beach towns in Mexico, yes, you get this beach boy vibe, and you go to a busy city, and everyone who I was in Mexico with, it was there with Mr. T and with Paulo and with Mario, and we all came back and we all saw this. Well, maybe I didn't feel it as much, but probably a bit too. This, oh fuck, this different reality hits you where people are busy and doing shit, and you have to readjust your game. So yes, it will probably happen, but you're bringing something else. You're bringing a completely different level of life experiences, which very few people in UK have, traveling around almost a year, or like a year or something. When did we meet? We met after New Year's, I think, right?
Yeah, I think in like February or March.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That was probably after Oaxaca City and everything else I did there. So you're bringing back these stories, and you have a little bit of adjustment. You'll have a little bit of adjustment to the big cities again. But I mean, I think it's not as bad as you're afraid it's going to be. Okay.
And I think the kind of the white man effect is, I think it's real in South America in the sense that you have higher value as a European or as a guy from the United States. So that definitely works in my favor as well.
Of course. I can see that. Well, let's do one thing right now. Let's do the thing right now. Wait. And I don't know whether you expect this or not, but welcome to the Club of Deacons, motherfucker.
Nice.
I just made you a deacon on a group chat because you're over 40 lays. You clearly know what you're doing. I mean, maybe you go back to London and everything sucks, but well, then it's my mistake.
Pleasure.
I wanted to do it anyways, but I wanted to talk to you first to kind of see your stories and kind of make really sure that, because sometimes guys, I know a guy who has like so many lays, but when he talks about game, you kind of like, how the fuck did this guy get laid? But the
Day game.
guy, he's no, but like day game lays, yeah. But guy is a good looking guy, works an incredibly good job in a really good city, and I can kind of see that. But you're a legit day gamer who knows what he's talking about, so I'm glad to hear that. Anything else you want to share with my lovely, amazing, action oriented audience, man?
Hmm. Uh, hmm. Yeah, sometimes people talk about drinking on dates, and some guys complain that, oh yeah, it's if the girl doesn't drink, if it's a date without beers, then it just doesn't work or it's hard. But for me, I just never drink on dates. Um, I've never found a problem in that.
So what do you do on dates if you don't drink? Is there anything you do differently from what you've heard everyone else doing?
I don't think so. Like usually, first venue get a tea. Um, Second venue as well, or maybe a soft drink. I mean, I get it. Yeah, it's maybe it helps with if the girl is tipsy a bit, and she might associate drinking with like adventure and kind of yeah, something more adventurous. But yeah, I don't think I'd do anything differently.
Okay. When you don't drink on dates, do girls drink?
No, no, they don't drink.
Okay. Because you're not the first guy. Do you know Jürgen?
Um,
German day gamer. He was on a podcast. The married guy who got in like 26 days in day game in like a year or what? Not year. I don't remember. Whatever.
oh yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that guy doesn't drink either, and I coached him a lot. We did a lot of work, and right now he's definitely one of the best day gamers I personally know. His game is incredible, and he does not drink at
Mm,
all, like zero. So you're not the first guy who says it. I totally agree with you. I understand what you're talking about. Well, dude, thanks a lot for doing this. I hope guys learned something from us from this. If guys, if you want to ask any questions to Mr. D, Mr. Double D, Mr. Big D, whatever you want to call him, do so in the Day Game Church group chat, which we have on the Telegram app, which is just like WhatsApp, just much better for group chats. You can join that chat by going to my website, saintrobert.blog. That is strobert.blog, and filling out any of the forms on the website. You'll be added to the mailing list. You will receive the welcome email, and in the welcome email, there will be a link to join the group chat. Well, Mr. D, thank you for doing this, and probably see you somewhere in South America.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks, man.
And as I said in the beginning of the podcast, if you are interested in one of the 2 remaining coaching spots in Europe this year, then send me an email to robert at saintrobert.blog. It is robert at strobert.blog. And if you are following me on YouTube, then you saw that I was publishing a lot of content about what exactly to do in the sets. I was publishing very structured information about the beginning of a set in the structured natural video series, and then I did a whole video series on how to build attraction with girls, or the attraction part of the set. But I said I would publish another video series on how to build comfort with girls in a set, and then how to close strong. So soon those video series are coming out. So if you like this podcast episode and you are listening to this on YouTube and you are interested in seeing those videos, then well, subscribe to my YouTube channel and click that notification bell icon so you see when the next videos are coming out. And also, of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on Spotify, then follow the podcast. And if it is on Apple Podcasts, then leave this podcast a 5-star review. Those are all small things, but they really, really help me reach more people with this podcast and help more guys take control of their dating life. Thank you for listening and have a good day. Ciao.